that famed, or some would say infamous, area known as Hippie Hill and Golden Gate Park will be filled with people marking 420, the unofficial holiday celebrating marijuana. Right here in Sacramento, there are block parties and concerts planned, but some want to remind smokers and non-smokers that all of that celebrating isn't consequence-free for kids. Bonnie Halpern-Felsher with me now live. She's a pediatrics professor at Stanford University and the founder and executive director of the Cannabis Awareness and Prevention Toolkit. Welcome to Fox 40 News at 11.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Definitely. 420 celebrations are planned far and wide, but all the hype around pot right now is a major concern to you for the 13 to 17-year-olds in our community. So you're stressing something called Mind Over Marijuana. What does that mean? What is that about?
Absolutely. So the California Department of Public Health recently released two campaigns. One is Mind Over Matter. This is the campaign that's really teen-focused. It's a teen-focused initiative with the goal of educating young people about the risks of cannabis use, particularly emphasizing that their brain is still developing, so an important time to protect our brains during adolescence and not influence them by an addictive substance. The second part of the campaign that the California Department of Public Health has is Let's Talk Cannabis. And this is a parent-focused initiative that really empowers parents to have conversations with their teenagers about the risks of cannabis and help adolescents either remain cannabis-free, or if they are using, both of these initiatives really try to help adolescents cope and try to encourage them to cut back or quit.
Now, you touched on this a little bit. We know what's legal and what's not, but the focus here really isn't don't run afoul of the law, which is a message that young people get a lot. It's really about preventing what may happen to them actually in their body and a young developing brain and a young developing psyche if exposed to cannabis during these sensitive years.
That is absolutely correct. We know that during adolescence, our brains are developing and we are much, much more likely to become addicted to THC or any other substance. But we also know that particularly for adolescents who are dealing right now, particularly post-pandemic or still in the pandemic, but a lot of issues that are going on worldwide, that adolescents are really stressed and trying to deal with stress and coping, but turning to drugs to deal with coping, cannabis in particular, is not a way to solve those problems. So the campaign is really stressing how else can we help adolescents cope and deal with stress. We also know that cannabis, particularly for young people, it really impairs cognition, particularly memory, learning, attention, academic achievement issues, and also mental health issues, psychosis, mood disorders, addictive disorders. So really need to protect adolescents during this time.
You referenced the Let's Talk About Cannabis campaign that's sort of aimed at parents looking at this situation. What more specifically, what kinds of things does it really guide adults through?
Absolutely. So really giving adults talking points, and particularly now with 420 coming tomorrow, to be able to help adolescents, talk to adolescents in a real way, in an understanding way, not to blame an adolescent, just say not to circumvent the law or have it be about the law, but really about their health. That's what adolescents are most concerned about. So it is empowering adults and parents to have that conversation. Look, teens do want to listen to their parents. Parents need to know that they are empowered and that they do have a voice, but it's giving them the talking points and that the conversation that needs to happen, because parents don't always know how to start that conversation. You know, they might be listening to this right now and they can use this as a springboard to say, you know, tomorrow's 420, it's this so-called holiday, but you know, let me talk to you as my son, my daughter, whatever, and really say, now is the time to really help protect your brains, protect your academic achievement, your mental health, and not use cannabis.
We used to hear all the time that marijuana was, you know, the gateway drug, with highs out there like fentanyl, which seems to be everywhere. Does that concept even carry a bite anymore? Does anybody seem to care in your experience that pot may be a gateway, or is it just kind of being regarded as it's not that bad?
Yeah, I think that there is a concern that a lot of teenagers think it's no big deal if they're using cannabis, that they feel that it's not, especially now that it's legalized in California, that it must be harmless. And that's not true. We're not talking about for adults. We're talking about for kids who, again, brains and lungs are still developing. To what extent it's a gateway, we are concerned. And what it is that adolescents whose brains are changed, who are addicted, and are more likely to become addicted to one product if they're using another product. So there is a lot of concern. There's a lot of concern of, it's no big deal, so all drugs must be okay or not a big deal. So we certainly are starting with cannabis, but when parents are talking to young people, it's important to say, in general, we are concerned about drug use for you.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Again, tomorrow is 420, but today, more information out about all the resources that you can receive if you were trying to protect your teens and give them a greater perspective about marijuana. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.